Now, what does it mean to be Jewish? The mechanics, the bloodlines, the laws and the rest are laid out pretty clearly. Beyond that, there are prominent left-wing Jews, prominent right-wing Jews, but what should they be expected to think about the state of Israel? More than 100 Jews, including some of the most prominent in British cultural life, are so fed up with the expectation that they show Israel unconditional support that they've come together to present an alternative, independent Jewish voices. For their pains, they've already been called Jew haters. So what should Jews be expected to think about Israel? Rabbi David Goldberg speaks for Independent Jewish Voices. Melanie Phillips is a Jewish author and a firm friend of the State of Israel. What is it that you feel isn't being said that ought to be said?
Well, you know, the very way you phrased that question, if I may say so, Jeremy, already polarised it. Melanie was described as a firm friend of Israel. I would like to think I'm a firm friend of Israel, albeit perhaps more critical than she is on occasion.
You say you weren't.
No, but the very way that the argument was presented in the first instance was suggesting that somehow there is this division between so-called self-hating Jews and people who are friends of Israel.
Hang on a minute. I said that you had been called that. Sorry, you must fight for yourself. I said you had been called that. You have seen fit to set up an organisation, Independent Jewish Voices, because you feel that some voices are not being represented. What is it that's not being represented?
We feel that there's not as full and frank a discussion of Israel and its policies as might be helpful.
Why?
Why? Because the organisations within Anglo-Jewry that speak for the community arrogate themselves often statements that don't truly represent the feelings of everybody.
Rabbi Goldberg is entitled to put his view, and people who are the signatories with him of this statement put their view frequently in the pages of The Guardian and The Independent and so forth. So the idea that the Jewish community speaks with one voice is simply not true. What these signatories appear to be saying, however, is that the main representative body of the British Jewish community, the Board of Deputies, should not defend Israel. Now, the Board of Deputies is a representative body because it's composed of representatives elected by synagogues and other communal organizations. And the reason it defends Israel is because it is a mainstream view represented by its members that at a time when Israel is surrounded by enemies in Lebanon, Gaza, West Bank, and above all Iran, determined to exterminate it, to criticize Israel at this point would be to do the work of those who wish to write it off the map.
Well, you see, why to criticize would it automatically lead to writing Israel off the map? I think that is the type of approach that many of us feel is too extreme and does not adequately represent or allow the valuable and important dissemination of views that we would say are in the best interests of Israel. These are very serious issues we're discussing now.
Yes,
Melanie.
well, you see, the language used by these signatories takes us far beyond legitimate criticism into the realm of demonization.
Because
what these signatories are saying is that the organized Jewish community in Britain privileges the arguments of the occupier against the human rights of the occupied, and it makes, therefore, absolutely no allowance for acknowledgement of the fact that the only reason that the Palestinians are suffering undoubted hardship, which is indeed regrettable, is because Israel is defending itself against the attempt by the Palestinians to commit mass murder against Israelis. Now, this is a complete inversion of victim and victimizer, and what Israel faces at the moment is not just the threat from terror and war, but the attack by people like David Goldberg and these signatories, which delegitimizes Israel as a prelude, I'm afraid, softening up the world for the kind of assault, a genocidal assault, which we can see Iran is threatening.
Why are people not allowed to criticize the actions of the Israeli government without being accused of being anti-Semitic?
Well, first of all, I haven't accused anyone of being anti-Semitic.
I didn't say you had, but the accusation is frequently made. It happens every time we discuss it on this programme.
No, that isn't...
Well, I tell you, I get the emails, a torrent of emails from people accusing you of being anti-Semitic if you criticise the actions of a democratically elected government behaving in ways that other people might find objectionable.
Well, first of all, abusive emails there is no justification for. But the fact is that what upsets so many Jews is not that Israel is being criticised. I mean, everybody should be criticised if they do something wrong. Nobody would argue against that. What upsets Jews is that what poses as criticism is actually demonization based on lies, in which Israel is accused of human rights abuses which it does not commit, and in which the true human rights abuses against Israel, in the form of, for example, mass murder by suicide,
Deal with that point.
is being excused.
Well, would you then say, Melanie, that there is not detention without trial in the occupied territories? Would you say that there are not different roads for settlers to drive on as opposed to the local Palestinian population? Would you not say that the destruction of housing, for example, in which alleged terrorists take place, does not happen?
Sure.
Would you say none of this happens?
I don't deny
Would you
that
not
it
say that
happens
there's
at all.
military law on the West Bank?
I don't deny it happens at all, but what you are omitting to say is that all these things are done simply in self-defense because the Palestinians
Melanie,
are
it's been
attacking
going on,
Israel.
forgive me, it's 40 years now of
No,
occupation.
forgive me, David. This attack upon the Jews in their historic homeland has been going on for more than 100 years by Arabs who do not wish to have Jews in their historic homeland and wish to ethnically cleanse them from them. Can I put you something else which rather gives the lie to what you're saying? How did the Palestinians of Gaza respond to Israel leaving Gaza by a barrage of rockets which hasn't ceased? What are the Israelis now doing? They are treating in Israel's own hospitals the victims, the victims of Palestinian violence by Palestinians, treated equally alongside Israeli Jews and Israeli Arabs in Israeli hospitals.
Well, yeah, it's very difficult to answer a barrage of generalizations.
These are specific.
That was quite specific.
The rockets that have not ceased, for example, I think it would be quite valuable to actually enumerate just how many rockets.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Well, you know, it's not a kind of, as it were, the most remorseless thing going on day by day, 24 hours a day. The fact is, of course, that Israel has not effectively withdrawn from Gaza, as we know. But you see...
I'm going to have to interrupt you now, I'm afraid. We're going to have to have newspapers. Oh. Where are we going to start? The Sun? Yes, The Sun. God damn it, we're in jail, dude. I don't know what that story's about. The Financial Times... British poultry is banned in 6 countries. Blair's closest aide, his Chief of Staff, Jonathan Powell, is going to face another police questioning. The Archbishop of Canterbury has criticised the government's lack of support for marriage. The Guardian has a report from Iraq, as does The Independent, and the Mirror goes with the news that the Beatles can now be downloaded. That's all from Newsnight tonight. You can relive the experience on the website, or you could go to bed. I'll be here tomorrow, the anniversary of the day in 1971 when Alan Shepard became the first man to play golf on the moon. A good spacewalk ruined. Until tomorrow, good night.